This video falls under fair use. Fair use allows commentary, criticism, and reactions. What's up, back with another one. So today we are breaking down Joe Budden's take on Drake and the bigger conversation around rap battles, lyrics, and the law. So let's check this clip out.
Get to it. Can we talk about Drake just for a hot second? Drake was, in the news a couple months ago for the UMG decision. It was dismissed out of hand by the judge. He's filed an appeal. A very long appeal, I think 50 or 60 pages long. And I actually think he's on to something. He's going to lose again. But I think he's on to something. I don't think Drake is wrong here. Basically what Drake said is the court, or his lawyer said that the court dismissed the suit out of hand as non-actionable by virtue of being song lyrics. In other words, the court said, you can't sue somebody for defamation because they're song lyrics. Drake's team is saying that is a dangerous precedent you're setting. To say that something by definition, just as such, cannot be used because it's a song lyric. He's saying there are times where that could be the case, and the court has a responsibility to look at the case, because otherwise nobody could ever sue for defamation because of a song lyric.
That's a good point.
And I think Drake's team is right.
He's right.
I don't think that this particular lawsuit is defamation. I don't. That's up for debate by people, but I don't. But I do think that there are situations where somebody could make a song that would be defamation, and I think that the court should look at it. So I think Drake could have some success, at least getting to trial, even if he ultimately loses.
And it's a slippery slope, because if you can't sue somebody for a song lyric, then what separates that from them jumping on the internet and trashing you on the internet or any other type of publication? It's going to set a precedent there.
Well, that precedent is not the same as the song lyric precedent, which is not the same for media people using the internet precedent. That's why all these things are.
But media gets a pass, right?
Yeah.
Media gets a pass.
Media. I think that it's stupid as fuck, and then that whole set of precedent thing is like now everybody gonna want to, sue about a song. It's just whack. I'm a rap lover, a hip hop lover. That's corny. Even if he has grounds for why he wanted to sue in this situation, the whole response from the legal team just opens up for everybody else to do it too. That's whack.
Well, everybody can't. Everybody can't.
But how are we going to have good battles if you can sue at the end?
See, I agree with you. Most of the time, I think you should be able to talk shit, be hyperbolic, all that in rap lyrics. You should be able to do all of that, right? Like, I never thought, when I was talking about Jay-Z and Ether, I didn't believe what he was saying in there. It wasn't defamation.
Even
to
the
me.
skeeted in your baby seat part?
Oh, that was super ugly. That's a good example, right?
So I threw condoms on your baby
seat. Yeah, threw condoms, skeeted in your Jeep, threw condoms on your baby seat, right?
Excuse me.
I don't know who did what. I don't know who baby seat got skeeted on. I don't think there should be a lawsuit about it, right? Because it's a battle. But I think there could be circumstances where it does go too far, very narrow, limited circumstances, and I just want to create room for that. I think about, for example, when people do monologues at the end of rap songs. I'm thinking about what Tupac did at the end of Hit 'Em Up, for example, when he's just talking, right? What if he was like, on January 7th, 1992, you broke in my house and my whole family and blah, blah, blah. If people could legitimately believe that what you're saying is true,
so let me.
I could see a situation.
One that comes to mind talking at the end is 50 talking to Ja, where he says, I know the style of I paid him $50,000.
Boom.
Right? So you're saying that could be defamation?
I'm saying I could see a situation where a person could be persuaded to believe that that's not just music talking. Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm not saying that it should be used often. I just don't like the idea of saying anything that's on a song goes without any limitations. That scares me a little bit.
This case, for reasons outside of what Drake is stating, is unprecedented, because I don't think in any other hip hop beef can a rapper claim as much damage as Drake can claim from this one.
That's a great point.
Ja Rule would be closest.
And it still fails in comparison.
Objectively, I think it fails in comparison. One.
Ja Rule's second.
Two, if you don't think it pales in comparison, that can be attributed to many other things. It could be attributed to the court case that they were fighting, the feds running up in there, Def Jam pulling support. You can't just say all of these lawsuits are specifically tied to what 50 Cent is doing. Drake probably can.
All right, this is where it really gets interesting, because Joe is walking a tightrope. He is protecting creative freedom while admitting the business consequences are real, and that tension feels very current.
Drake, I think, is more quantifiable.
A lot of his business and public perception and the view of things and his prices, a lot probably changed after that.
I agree.
Battle.
There's another piece to this that just hit me as you just made that point. Rap battles today are very different than rap battles during like the Bridge Wars or something, where you just made music.
You ain't have brand deals. You ain't have that was riding.
But I'm not even. Yes, that's true. But I'm talking about in terms of how people communicate. 50's been in battles where he didn't put a song on wax. What if I defame you on a podcast and on an Instagram? I make up all these lies which do fit the standard for defamation, and then I make a song about it. Now, and the song gets heard by 50 million people. You get what I'm saying? So, for example, hypothetically, this did not happen. To be clear, if Kendrick had done a press release and given a press conference and tweeted that Drake was a file, and then made Not Like Us still would have been a huge song that would have impacted him severely. And because the rap battles don't stay just on the musical realm, they often go into blogs, tweets, TikTok. I think it gets messier and more confusing in today.
I'm not saying that Drake doesn't have a point in what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that. I was never saying that. I'm saying a few things. One, when you enter a battle that is kind of a, I'm talking about how it's perceived, it's kind of an enter at your own risk type of thing. Like, before that battle started, I came on the air, I said, potentially one of these people will never be looked at the same after this.
Definitely said that.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot, but
You said it.
I mean, I had a healthy amount of respect for the brothers involved. So, and sure enough, one person was never looked at the same, but you taunted him and you provoked him and you asked him to come out, this brother that we normally know to be so quiet. So some of that is enter at your own risk for me. Two, everybody can't sue. Everybody ain't going to sue. Back to Mona's point. Suing is like a privilege type of thing. And when you lose and continue to use the judicial system to try to hammer home a point, it does come off a way.
Yes.
Like, my only point is for how he comes off, not in what he's doing. I can't even say I wouldn't do the same thing if I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world.
Joe Budden's take on Drake's lawsuit sits in a tense space between law culture and hip-hop tradition. He argues that the court's decision to dismiss the case simply because the statements appeared in song lyrics creates a risky standard. In his view, art should not automatically shield claims that sound factual, believable, and damaging, because there are rare situations where lyrics move beyond exaggeration and into something audiences could accept as true. Joe believes Drake is correct to challenge that idea even if the appeal ultimately fails, because courts should at least examine context, intent, and impact. At the same time, Joe strongly dislikes what this fight represents for rap. He feels lawsuits after battles weaken the competitive spirit and threaten the freedom that allows artists to be hyperbolic, dramatic, and reckless without fear of punishment. He also worries about unintended consequences, where lyrics could be used more aggressively against rappers in criminal or civil cases.